Elon Musk is now threatening to sue Mark Zuckerberg's new app called Threads, which is meant to be directly competing against Twitter. This app, according to Mark Zuckerberg, is going to be a Twitter killer, or in other words, a Twitter copy. The app is enabling people to have public conversations just like Twitter, but with slight user interface changes. Threads has up until this point gained millions of users globally within a very short period of time. Twitter's lawyer said about this that it is a systematic, willful, and unlawful misappropriation of Twitter's trade secrets and other intellectual property. The rivalry between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg seems to be growing more and more each day. This is also in addition to a lot of criticism that have been directed towards both of them recently due to their policies on their social media platforms. But what was exactly all of this criticism about? And what did they do to deserve such criticism? First of all, when it comes to Elon Musk, ever since he acquired Twitter for $44 billion last year, it hasn't been really smooth sailing for him. One recent controversial move that he did was implementing a login wall, which required users to create an account or log in to view tweets. He said that the reason for this was mainly because of the increasing amount of scraper bots, which are collecting a lot of user data. Another criticized move that was done by him was the temporary limit on viewing tweets for verified and unverified accounts. The limit of only viewing 600 posts per day for unverified accounts specifically was considered too low, and it upset many users who enjoyed browsing Twitter for hours each day. This is also in addition to making people have to pay a couple of dollars per month to get verified on Twitter, which was previously for free. Last but not least was his decision to lay off half of Twitter's workforce directly after acquiring the platform, which also received a lot of backlash. And Elon justified that as necessary for Twitter's survival. So all of these moves were considered as controversial and received significant criticism from users and the public as well. However, one of Elon Musk's most notable policies that he implemented on Twitter was the ones related to free speech. Directly after taking over the platform, Elon proceeded to reinstate many accounts for a lot of renowned figures who have been cancelled off of Twitter and other social media platforms. He said in a tweet that the new Twitter policy is freedom of speech but not freedom of reach. Negative or hate tweets will be max deboosted and demonetized, so no ads or other revenue to Twitter. You won't find the tweet unless you specifically seek it out, which is no different from the rest of the internet. He also added that this freedom of reach will only be applied to the individual tweets, not the whole account, which is probably the boldest move that he has done for everyone's right to be able to speak and tweet whatever they want.
I really can't emphasize this enough. We must protect free speech, and free speech only matters, it's only relevant when it's someone you don't like saying something you don't like, because obviously speech that you like is,
yes,
that's easy. So it's the thing about censorship is that, sure, for those who would advocate it, just remember, at some point, that will be turned on you.
On the other hand, when it comes to Mark Zuckerberg and the criticism that was directed towards him, he has also received a lot of backlash for several matters. These matters include things like how he originally took the idea of Facebook from the Winklevoss brothers back before he became well known. Also, how he took the idea of Instagram stories from Snapchat, which made Snapchat almost completely obsolete. And more recently, the idea of Instagram Reels from TikTok, and now finally the idea of Threads from Twitter. This is also in addition to the exaggerated censorship and cancellation of many important and popular figures off of his social media platforms, which is quite unfortunate. Such policies have done a huge damage to the reputation of all of Meta platforms recently in a very profound way. And some people would argue that if these policies were implemented to such an extent years ago when Facebook was founded, the platform would have probably not made it so far, and many users would have just stopped using it. But this is usually how the story of many great companies sounds like. They first do the impossible and strive to get their first users or customers, and then they make it and become very popular. But right when a company thinks that it is invincible and begins to stop caring about its users, competition comes along and they suddenly lose everything. But if a company manages to somehow create a monopoly over a product or a service, that's when issues start to rise, and that's when consumers get negatively affected. So for this reason alone, it is considered unlawful to create a monopoly. But anyways, the rivalry between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg does not seem to end anytime soon. And the idea that Elon has paid $44 billion to acquire Twitter for it to just be copied by Zuckerberg less than a year later is just wild. And according to some sources, Meta will have to take seriously Elon Musk's threat to sue. However, we will have to wait and see what's going to happen with all of that, as well as what's going to happen with the physical cage fight between Musk and Zuckerberg, as it is probably going to be one of the most viewed sports events ever if it really happens. So that was it for this video. If you found this helpful, you can click here to watch this one. Other than that, make sure to leave a thumbs up and to subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, see you in the next one.